Hello, welcome to Notts Today. I'm Al. Thank you for being here for a brand new week. Hope your weekend was good. This is what we've got for you Monday. First, we've heard how a charity's major fundraising project is getting kids off the streets.
We've still got a deficit of about 300,000 that we need to hit, definitely, to be able to get 70% more people in the new building.
We'll have more on that for you shortly, and we're looking at how steps to protect hospital wards has helped sites in the city to evade significant winter pressure. It includes introducing new wards and taking steps to protect elective surgeries. We'll find out how in just a moment. And it's International Women's Day on Saturday, so we've been out to ask people what it means to be a woman.
I love the women in my life. They're friends like no others.
Like an acknowledgement and a day to recognise that women do a lot and are capable of a lot is important, I think.
And staying on that theme, we're also going to find out about an event that is supporting a charity and marking International Women's Day. Juno Women's Aid and the Island Quarter have teamed up for an event this coming weekend with some all-female performances. We'll find out how you can get involved and when it's going on and who's going to be there and all that sort of stuff. In sport, we'll hear from Mansfield manager Nigel Clough after a late penalty miss meant they had to settle for a draw at the weekend.
A great deal of character, and whatever happens in the next 13 games, we want to play like that. Went to Blackpool and played like that. We did at home to Lincoln for large periods of the game, and a little bit against Wrexham as well. So whatever's going to happen this season, I want us to try and play like that.
There you go, all that and loads more just for you. First though, you might have noticed the sun is out at last. It's getting lighter in the mornings and it's getting darker later, and March is here. Phew, means we can all say goodbye to winter at last. And with that in mind, it's time to look back on how the recent cold months affected hospitals in Nottingham. Winter is often the worst period for healthcare settings, and nationally that included a quademic of flu, COVID, norovirus and RSV. Here in the city though, NHS leaders say steps like introducing same-day wards and protecting elective surgeries meant they managed to significantly improve patient flow. Well, here now to tell us all about it is local democracy reporter Lauren Monaghan. Lauren, right, let's have a look into this. I'm so glad spring is here. So how did winter start out then?
Yeah. So I was at the Queen's Medical Centre back in November, and this is where NUH, Nottingham University Hospitals, they run Queen's Medical Centre and City Hospital. Back in November, they were working with around 100 fewer medically safe patients waiting more than a day to be discharged. So when we talk about medically safe, these are people who are clinically able to go home. They're kind of just sitting around waiting to go home longer than they should be. This compared to a peak of around 250 in January 2024. So they kind of started the winter period in a better position anyway. But back in November as well, there was between 500 to 600 patients per day that were going through QMC's A&E department. That was similar to the year before, so the figures around that hadn't really changed. And when we think about the QMC's A&E department, it was originally built for about 350 patients. So they're already working at past maximum capacity anyway. And then just as some specific figures, the day I went in November, between midnight and 1 p.m. that day, they already had seen 340 patients. So that was by 1 p.m. And at that time as well, patients with minor illnesses / problems, typically waiting between 8 and 12 hours to be seen. One person had waited 26 hours for a bed. And there was a lot of corridor care seen at this point as well, but when we were speaking to one of the deputy medical directors at NUH, they didn't write off that corridor care could get worse back in November.
Okay. So going into winter then, what were the main issues that were being faced?
So I think you already pointed it out, but NHS England in early December said that hospitals are facing a quademic, and this was kind of seen across hospitals up and down the country. So around the second week of December, there was a 350% increase in flu, an 86% increase in norovirus across the hospitals. COVID and RSV levels were also increasing at this time. And when we talk about hospital issues, they're referring to the flow. So patient flow literally starts at the front door when they come in to when they get discharged, and all of those components all affect and link to each other. So it's all about patient flow.
Okay. And so all that was coming. So we know every year winter's going to happen, don't they? So what plans were in place from NUH?
So they had the plans in place for 2 temporary wards. So there was one at City Hospital that opened in December. It was called the Newell ward. And then there was one that opened at the QMC in January, and both of these wards combined offered about 50 extra beds. So this helped the hospital trust a lot, because during winter, with the increase in neurovirus and flu, a lot of wards were actually closed off, kind of quarantined to keep it all inside the ward. So this helped with closed wards, and it meant that they could still take patients on, which helps the ambulance service as well. So it was good for the A&E department and the ambulance service. And they've also been trialling this 45-minute ambulance handover scheme. So the national guidance is about 15 minutes, but NHS trusts haven't been able to meet that. So they're trialling this 45-minute one where patients get handed over within 45 minutes, but we're looking at a lot of corridor care with that one.
Okay. And then what impact, did all that have over the winter?
Yeah, so on December the 13th, 2024, the average handover was 39 minutes and 48 seconds, but this compared to 1 hour and 8 minutes the same period the year before. So we were already seeing then, because I think the 45-minute scheme had been in place at that point for about 2 weeks, so we were seeing it was already working. They were getting people, EMAS, the East Midlands Ambulance Service, they were getting to people who were at risk of a stroke and a heart attack around 20 minutes faster. But this put immense pressure on the A&E staff, lots of corridor care being seen at this point.
Okay, so that's winter wrapped up, as it were. And now it's summer and spring and all that's on the way, so excellent. Thank you, Lauren. Now, Enott's charity that supports young people in the county to get their lives back on track through mentoring and education and counselling has launched a campaign to raise a further £300,000 to build a new facility. The Marcellus Baz Foundation's campaign is called Building Positive Futures. It comes after its Covent rented unit was deemed unfit for purpose because of ceiling collapses, as well as mould and damp as well. Staff have had to move into the NTU Dryden Centre in order to do their jobs in a safe work environment. Our reporter, Jordan Guerrero, went along to get an update.
A cry for help from one of the biggest organisations. Switch Up helps Nottingham's most vulnerable young people to get through tough times and to inspire them to lead better lives away from crime. The foundation offers one-to-one counselling as well as boxing sessions for people in the city who just want a pair of ears to hear their fears and concerns. But it's also a place to release their stress and anxiety out on a punching bag too. However, the organisation has been fundraising to find a new home and move away from its current home in St Anne's, which is riddled with mould and leaks. And founder Marcellus Baz says they need to hit their £800,000 target so much needed work can begin on building a bigger, better and safer facility.
We've already raised around 500,000 and we are continuing to try to raise as much money as possible, because that then puts us in a very good position definitely to be able to get 70% more people in the new building than what we've got at the moment. The operations of Switch Up are being run at Nottingham Trent University. A lot of our mentors, coaches who are doing some of the administration work, our data analyst, our operations, majority of that work is being done here because the office spaces are not suitable.
Kaya Slater has been coming along to the boxing sessions for years after she fell into a tough spot due to mental health struggles, and ever since she came along, she hasn't looked back. Kaya says since we last spoke to the charity, she's noticed a real drop in the centre's condition.
So I definitely think that the facilities have gone slightly downhill, not the quality of the coaching and the service, but definitely the facilities. It's really cold, and especially in the winter, it's not a great place to be, especially when you're like sweating and it's cold and it's just really damp.
Poppy Flint is the Children and Young People Service Manager at Switch Up. She started coming along as a member after she needed someone to lean on during her earlier years. Now she's taken on this very same role for other youngsters in the city.
Growing up as a young person, I needed that support. I needed an adult that I could go to who could advise me, mentor me and guide me, and I didn't have that person. So growing up, I thought I want to be that person for young people.
You can reach out and support us by going on our social media pages, help us to make a difference and help us to give young people a positive, brighter future.
Jordan Guerrero for Notts TV.
Now let's have a look at some more news headlines. And 8 teenagers have been arrested after stabbing at a flat party in Nottingham at the weekend. Emergency services were called to Houndsgate and areas surrounding Nottingham Castle about 11:45 on Friday evening. A 17-year-old boy was hospitalised with non-life-threatening injuries. An 18-year-old man, 4 17-year-old boys and a 16-year-old girl were all arrested on suspicion of a fray and have been bailed. Another 2 people, a 17-year-old boy and a 16-year-old girl, were arrested later on for same offences. Anyone with more information should call 101. Police have asked for help in tracing a man following a violent assault outside a Nottingham bar. Nottinghamshire police say the victim suffered facial injuries after being punched outside a venue on Thurland Street at about 2:30 in the morning on December the 27th. As part of ongoing inquiries, they've reviewed CCTV images and spoken to witnesses, and they've released this picture shown on your screen now. They say if you can help them and you recognise the man, give them a call on 101. Now the sunshine is out, still nippy, but we can see the sunshine. We're going to be looking at a great outdoor gig to support city charity Juno's Women Aid. It is taking place this weekend. It should be sunny on Saturday as well, which is when it is. Also, we'll have a sports roundup from Notts County, Forest Women and Mansfield Town on the way next. Hello, welcome back to Monday's show with me, Al. Thank you for being here. This is what's happening in Notts today. Nottingham City Council will meet today to set its budget for the upcoming financial year, including a tax rise and service cuts. The Labour-run authority, which effectively declared bankruptcy in November 2023, will propose a tax rise of just under 5%. So that's the most it's allowed to raise bills by. And it would see Band A properties paying the council £84 more for the year, in that there's a 2% increase specifically for social care, and the rest helps the authority plug a budget gap and pay back exceptional government support. And the Labour Party has said it'll sell or lease out Nottinghamshire County Council's future new headquarters if it gains control of the authority in May. The council is due to move to Oak House near Hucknall and Limby later this month and leave its current West Bridgford home at County Hall. But the Labour group on the authority put forward budget amendments at a meeting last week and said they would stay at County Hall and sell or lease out the new building if they win the upcoming election in May, so money can be reused on frontline services. Now, this Saturday it is International Women's Day, and there's a brilliant event in Nottingham taking place to celebrate and to raise money for a fantastic cause as well. Juno Women's Aid has been providing support to women, children and teens who have been affected by domestic abuse for more than 40 years now. Local businesses at the Island Quarter have all come together to create a one-night only free-to-attend event that celebrates the talent, resilience and creativity of women in Nottingham. And there's 10% of all food and drink sales going towards Juno as well. So if you go, you help. Joining me now, Tassala Lerner, the Fundraising and Communications Manager for Juno, and Island Quarter Business and Development Manager, Liam Morgan. Thank you for coming in. Right, first of all, let's just highlight some of the work that you do with Juno.
Yeah, so we are the largest domestic abuse charity in Nottingham. We have a 24/7, 365 days a year helpline. We have advocacy support in both the city and the county. We have refuges, specialist children's worker and also a pet fostering project.
And all for over 40 years, which
Yes.
is an incredible amount of work over that time, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's International Women's Day this week. This Saturday is going to be sunny as well. So it's like it's all come at the right time, isn't it, Liam? Let's talk about what you're putting on, really.
Yeah, so we've been working with Juno for years at the Island Quarter. It's a really important, vital charity, and it's based in Nottingham. So we try as much as we can to create awareness and do events as much as possible. And we thought International Women's Day is the perfect time to do something special with them. So we thought it's going to be at Binks Yard this Saturday. It's free to get in. There's no tickets needed. Binks Yard is great for entertainment, music and drink. And we thought, let's do something around that. So we've got a great afternoon and evening of local acts. We've got 2 female Nottingham artists, one called Georgie and one called Jessica Clark-Wheatley. They're performing for free. And as you said earlier, all 10% of the takings on that day are going to go to Juno for the vital work that they do.
I mean, how important and how vital is something like this for the work you do, you know, as a charity?
Oh, it's incredibly important, and you know, we're really grateful for the relationship that we've had with the Island Court over the past couple of years. And you know, the funds that are raised for this event are going to help us to continue the vital work that we do in Nottingham. You know, helping us to kind of support our women in refuges and out and about in the community.
So you touched upon the, you know, it's a female-only lineup, isn't it? International Women's Day.
Yes.
When did these sort of ideas come to you?
Well, I mean, we always bounce crazy things off each other, right? You know, we're always trying to think of something creative, you know, and we thought, you know, we wanted to do something for International Women's Day. I think it's a great date in the calendar, and it's just a perfect collaboration. You know, the help Juno provide to women is amazing, and it's a great day to lighten that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how are things at Juno at the moment? Last time you were on the show, which was before Christmas, I think, wasn't it? You were talking about, you know, fundraising for the new houses you were getting for people who come and move into them, and also to help furnish them. How's it all going?
Really, really well. Busy as always, but we have actually started moving women and their families into those properties. So that's really exciting, and we've also got a couple more properties on the horizon, so it's going really well.
Is winter more difficult? I mean, it shouldn't be, but you hear about, like, when football's on, for example, you know, we see spikes and this sort of thing. Winter, when everyone's inside and it's dark and it's a bit... Is it harder time? Do you see more people coming to you in the winter months?
I would say that actually it's all year round.
Is it?
Domestic abuse doesn't discriminate, and whilst there might be kind of peaks and troughs, you know, during difficult times, so say Christmas, when there's a lot of stress and things going on, but actually it's all throughout the year.
Yeah, it needs to go. So you've got the sunshine. We've had the sunshine this weekend. We've got the sunshine all week. We've got the sunshine. In terms of Binks Yard and everything that's going on there, what's the future looking like now? Are you officially, like, embracing spring and going, that's it, we've done winter?
We are. The event season kicks off next week. You know, St. Patrick's Day is here, and it doesn't end. You know, I always say it can't rain till October because it's too busy and there's too much going on. It's great. You know, we really try and do varied events, you know, family focused, you know, music, dance, movies, all these kind of things. I think it's a great space for Nottingham, and it's definitely been needed.
Yeah,
you know, we're going into our third summer, and I think it's going to be the best one we've ever done.
Yeah, it's amazing to take that area as was and what it's becoming now. It's
absolutely,
a great space.
Yeah.
How can people come along? How can they get involved at the weekend?
Well, it's free to get in, no ticket required. You know, just come in. We've got these amazing acts in the bar inside. And just pop on in. There's going to be the team from Juno there to, you know, have any questions or, you know, be there if anyone needs anything. And it's really relaxed. I think it's going to be a really good afternoon. The team are really excited, and we can't wait to support Juno even more.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for coming in and sharing it. Have a great time.
Thanks.
Right, let's have a look at your sport from the weekend now. We'll start with Mansfield. They were just one kick away from securing their first win in nearly 2 months, but a penalty miss from Lucas Atkins right at the death meant they had to settle for a draw with Burton. Owen Dodgson took the lead for Albion 30 minutes into the game before an own goal from Ryan Sweeney then levelled the scoring in the second half. Former Burton forward Atkins had a penalty right at the end of the game and put it over the bar. Speaking afterwards, Stags manager Nigel Clough said he was happy with how they played overall.
I think Lucas said he just touched him, so the referee's in a good position, the linesman is as well. I didn't actually see the penalty. I don't like watching them. There's nothing you can do. Misses, scores or whatever. It's the outcome. Nothing you can do to affect it. A great deal of character, and whatever happens in the next 13 games, we want to play like that. Went to Blackpool and played like that. We did at home to Lincoln for large periods of the game, and a little bit against Wrexham as well. So whatever's going to happen this season, I want us to try and play like that.
In League Two, it was also a draw for Notts County. They were held 2-2 at Fleetwood. George Abbott took the lead for Notts 16 minutes in before a 2-minute brace by Ryan Graydon put Fleetwood ahead in the second half. Alassane Jatta equalised right at the end for Notts to lift them above Wimbledon into fourth. Speaking after the game, Pies head coach Stuart Maynard said conceding both goals so quickly was disappointing.
This is probably one of my biggest frustrations this season. I feel that it's a huge 2 points dropped, a massive missed opportunity. We come here, we look at the pitch is terrible. You probably look at it before the hand, and we had a game plan to miss out their press and go into the front. But I thought from minute one to all the way to the end, we were excellent. All the way through the game, we opened them up at will, created enough chances probably to win 2 games of football, and then we have a mad 2 minutes where we concede 2 goals, and it's just so frustrating.
Now, Forest weren't in action this weekend, but that's because they're playing tonight, isn't it? They're playing Ipswich in the FA Cup. Nuno Espirito Santo's side know a win at the City Ground tonight will book them a trip to Brighton in the quarter-finals. The side they recently beat 7-0 at home. They face an Ipswich side, though, battling it out to avoid relegation in the Premier League first. Speaking ahead of the game, Nuno said table position means nothing in the Cup and it's going to be a tough match.
Tough game. Ipswich, good team. We just look back at the fixture that we had here in the Premier, how hard it was. We've been looking at them as a team. They have energy, they have good players, and they are very intense. So the expectation is a very tough match. We have to play the game. There's no favorites in a football match. There are 2 teams that go against each other in a fair way to see who achieves what they propose.
Forest women also didn't play this weekend. Their match against Stourbridge was postponed. The Reds were due to travel to the second from bottom side, but a sickness bug in the opponent's squad meant the game had to be called off. Forest are still top of the league despite a win for Wolves. They're level on points with the Reds, but with a significantly inferior goal difference. In ice hockey, the Panthers are through to the quarter-final playoffs of the Elite League after 2 strong wins this weekend. They started off at home against the Dundee Stars. They won that one 4-0 and then travelled to Scotland to face the Fife Flyers and won 4-1. Speaking after the Glasgow game, Panthers head coach Danny Stewart said there were still some negatives to the way his side played, despite the 4-0 scoreline.
Kind of a lot of bad habits out there. I think, kind of a track meet at times, But you know what? Important thing is this time of year we found a way to win a game. Jason had some big saves there. I think especially in the first 30 minutes there, I didn't think we were very good. Turned a lot of pucks over. I should say 40 minutes probably. Turned a lot of pucks over, and but we were clinical. We were clinical when we got our opportunities. We made the most of them. Got ourselves a 4-0 lead, and I liked how we played in the third, managing that game. I thought we got back to playing the way we need to play and the right way, and closed that one out.
We're going to have all the action from the 4-0 win over Dundee right here on Notts TV from 9 p.m. on Wednesday. That's going to be here right after Team Talk. Right, picture of the day now, thanks to Whitefoot Photography for this one. Nottingham Castle at the weekend's light night. If you went along there, I hope you had a brilliant time. You can send us your picture as well at Notts_TV on Twitter/X, Facebook and Instagram. Now for your weather, as we were just talking about with Juno and Liam, it's going to be lovely. Tonight, it's dropping down to 4 degrees overnight after what's been a sunny day. Tomorrow, we're going to see sunshine again, pretty much like today, but with less clouds. Sunshine, highs of 12. And then on Wednesday, teensy weensy bit warmer, 13 degrees. Highs of 12 degrees as well. Well, it does feel like spring at the moment, doesn't it? And if that puts you in the mood to have a night out, we're going to take a look at how you could spend your Monday night with our What's On guide, and we'll look at someone who's coming to Nottingham soon as well. Hello, welcome back to Notts Today. I'm Al, thank you for being here. I hope you had a good weekend, your Monday has gone well. Should we have a look what's happening in the news then? Well, all homes in Nottingham and Nottinghamshire will pay more tax to fund the fire service. It's because the Fire Authority, which controls budgets for Nottinghamshire Fire and Rescue Service, approved its finances for the upcoming financial year and included a £5 tax rise for every home in the county. That increase goes towards paying for frontline services like firefighters, and it's on top of separate increases by the police and city councils for Nottingham residents, or the county council and district councils for county residents. And a big celebration has been planned to mark 150 years of a Nottinghamshire market. Hucknall Market. It was first held on April the 23rd in 1875. Queen Victoria was on the throne, you may remember, you probably don't. A supersized market will be held to mark the anniversary on April the 26th. There'll be entertainment there for kids and other activities as well. Ashfield District Council is also appealing for people to come forward and share their memories of the market over the years as it marks the event. Probably not of the opening day, I don't think they expect that. Although, if you were there, go ahead. Now, if you are already thinking that the sunshine is here and you want to get out, even though it's Monday, let me tell you what is happening in the What's On guide. First of all, cyclist Alex Dowsett was, should I say that again? Alex Dowsett, there you go. One of the fastest men on two wheels, and he has cycled all the way here to a meet and greet book signing at Broadway Cinema tonight. So you can get on down at 7 p.m. and get your tickets, which are just £15. Now, if you're a folk fan, Rionak Conley and Honeyfeet are performing at Bodega tonight, and they're supported by Sancho Panza. It starts at 7 p.m. Tickets are still up for grabs for that one if you fancy that. Or there's the usual, there's the open mic acoustic night at Rescue Rooms. It's free to go along, happens all evening long, and the Horn in Hand has its, I'm going to say, now famous quiz. You can get in there for 50p and you can claim a £50 cash jackpot. That all starts at 7 p.m. Whatever you're doing, enjoy it. Right. It's time to have another look at a chat from earlier on in the show. You might have noticed, as we were saying, it's getting warmer, the sun's out, spring is here. Even not officially, it feels like winter's over. But winter is often the worst period for healthcare settings. And nationally, a quademic of flu, COVID, norovirus and RSV has happened. Here in Nottingham, NHS leaders say steps like introducing same-day wards and protecting elective surgeries meant they managed to significantly improve patient flow. Well, joining me earlier to tell us more was local democracy reporter Lauren Monaghan. Lauren, right, let's have a look into this. I'm so glad spring is here. So how did winter start out then?
Yeah. So I was at the Queen's Medical Centre back in November, and this is where NUH, Nottingham University Hospitals, they run Queen's Medical Centre and City Hospital. Back in November, they were working with around 100 fewer medically safe patients waiting more than a day to be discharged. So when we talk about medically safe, these are people who are clinically able to go home. They're kind of just sitting around waiting to go home longer than they should be. This compared to a peak of around 250 in January 2024. So they kind of started the winter period in a better position anyway. But back in November as well, it was between 500 to 600 patients per day that were going through QMC's A&E department. That was similar to the year before, so the figures around that hadn't really changed. And when we think about the QMC's A&E department, it was originally built for about 350 patients. So they're already working at past maximum capacity anyway. And then just as some specific figures, the day I went in November, between midnight and 1 p.m. that day, they already had seen 340 patients. So that was by 1 p.m. And at that time as well, patients with minor illnesses / problems, typically waiting between 8 and 12 hours to be seen. One person had waited 26 hours for a bed. And there was a lot of corridor care seen at this point as well, but when we were speaking to one of the deputy medical directors at NUH, they didn't write off that corridor care could get worse back in November.
Okay. So going into winter then, what were the main issues that were being faced?
So I think you already pointed it out, but NHS England in early December said that hospitals are facing a quademic, and this was kind of seen across hospitals up and down the country. So around the second week of December, there was a 350% increase in flu, an 86% increase in norovirus across the hospitals. COVID and RSV levels were also increasing at this time. And when we talk about hospital issues, they're referring to the flow. So patient flow literally starts at the front door when they come in to when they get discharged, and all of those components all affect and link to each other. So it's all about patient flow.
Okay. And so all that was coming. So we know every year winter's going to happen, don't they? So what plans were in place from NUH?
So they had the plans in place for 2 temporary wards. So there was one at City Hospital that opened in December. It was called the Newell ward. And then there was one that opened at the QMC in January, and both of these wards combined offered about 50 extra beds. So this helped the hospital trust a lot, because during winter, with the increase in neurovirus and flu, a lot of wards were actually closed off, kind of quarantined to keep it all inside the ward. So this helped with closed wards, and it meant that they could still take patients on, which helps the ambulance service as well. So it was good for the A&E department and the ambulance service. And they've also been trialling this 45-minute ambulance handover scheme. So the national guidance is about 15 minutes, but NHS trusts haven't been able to meet that. So they're trialling this 45-minute one where patients get handed over within 45 minutes, but we're looking at a lot of corridor care with that one.
Okay. And then what impact, did all that have over the winter?
Yeah, so on December the 13th, 2024, the average handover was 39 minutes and 48 seconds, but this compared to 1 hour and 8 minutes the same period the year before. So we were already seeing then, because I think the 45-minute scheme had been in place at that point for about 2 weeks, so we were seeing it was already working. They were getting people, EMAS, the East Midlands Ambulance Service, they were getting to people who were at risk of a stroke and a heart attack around 20 minutes faster. But this put immense pressure on the A&E staff, lots of corridor care being seen at this point.
Okay, so that's winter wrapped up, as it were, and now it's summer and spring and all that's on. Now, a Notts charity supporting young people in the county through mentoring and education and counselling to get back on track has launched a campaign to raise a further £300,000 to build a new facility. The Marcellus Baz Foundation's campaign is called Building Positive Futures. It comes after its current unit was deemed unfit for purpose, with ceiling collapses, mould and damp throughout the rented building, which has since forced their staff to move into the NTU Dryden Centre. Jordan Guerrero went along to get an update on how it's all going.
A cry for help from one of the biggest organisations, Switch Up helps Nottingham's most vulnerable young people to get through tough times and to inspire them to lead better lives away from crime. The foundation offers one-to-one counselling as well as boxing sessions for people in the city who just want a pair of ears to hear their fears and concerns. But it's also a place to release their stress and anxiety out on a punching bag too. However, the organisation has been fundraising to find a new home and move away from its current home in St Anne's, which is riddled with mould and leaks. And founder Marcellus Baz says they need to hit their £800,000 target so much needed work can begin on building a bigger, better and safer facility.
We've already raised around 500,000 and we are continuing to try to raise as much money as possible, because that then puts us in a very good position definitely to be able to get 70% more people in the new building than what we've got at the moment. The operations of Switch Up are being run at Nottingham Trent University. A lot of our mentors, coaches who are doing some of the administration work, our data analyst, our operations, majority of that work is being done here because the office spaces are not suitable.
Kaya Slater has been coming along to the boxing sessions for years after she fell into a tough spot due to mental health struggles, and ever since she came along, she hasn't looked back. Kaya says since we last spoke to the charity, she's noticed a real drop in the centre's condition.
So I definitely think that the facilities have gone slightly downhill. Not the quality of the coaching and the service, but definitely the facilities. It's really cold, and especially in the winter, it's not a great place to be, especially when you're like sweating and it's cold and it's just really damp.
Poppy Flint is the Children and Young People's Service Manager at Switch Up. She started coming along as a member after she needed someone to lean on during her earlier years. Now she's taken on this very same role for other youngsters in the city.
Growing up as a young person, I needed that support. I needed an adult that I could go to who could advise me, mentor me and guide me, and I didn't have that person. So growing up, I thought, I want to be that person for young people.
You can reach out and support us by going on our social media pages, help us to make a difference and help us to give young people a positive, brighter future.
Jordan Guerrero for Notts TV.
Right, let's have a look at some more news headlines. And Nottinghamshire police licensing teams say they've been working closely with pubs and bars and restaurants to keep people safe on nights out. The force said it works with about 3,000 premises across the county, and that includes pubs and clubs and bars and restaurants and hotels, takeaway shops, supermarkets, you name it. They promote public safety, including installing CCTV, as well as the use of door supervisors and ensuring staff are trained. They've also been protecting women and girls through the use of the Ask Angela scheme, where women can report suspicious behaviour. Now, police are asking for help to track down a flasher following a number of indecent exposures in Nottingham. They say incidents happened across the Arboretum area with the suspect, who's described as being blonde, tall and skinny in his 50s or 40s and scruffy, exposing himself to women around North Sherwood Street, Addison Street and Waverley Street. They say the man makes no effort to approach victims, but he does cause them alarm. Officers say anyone who recognises that description of the man should give them a call on 101. Now, if you are a fan of top quality music, especially seeing it live right here in our county, I'm going to be speaking to someone who's coming to Nottingham's Peggy Skylight later this month, and we'll have a sneak peek at a new Notts TV debate show as well. Hello, welcome back to Monday's show. I'm Al, thank you for being here with me. This is what's happening in Notts today. Now, if you had a nervous morning waiting to hear if your child got the secondary school place that they and you want in September, I hope it's gone well for you. According to figures published by Nottinghamshire County Council today, 98% of the 9,316 applicants were offered one of their preferred schools, 91% were offered their parents' first preference. They now have until March the 16th to accept the offer, with the council saying parents should do it even if they plan on appealing the decision. So if you got yours, well done and all the best with that. Right, firstly, a flashing image warning for this one, because various landmarks across Nottingham lit up at the weekend as nightlight came back to the city. Buildings including the Council House on Old Market Square and others around like the Castle and Sneinton Market as well, all lit up to mark the annual event. It featured more than 35 immersive and interactive light-based installations. There were performances and activities on Friday and Saturday, with the project returning for its 17th year. There were also other displays like a magical inflatable creature and candlelit choirs as well. I hope you had a good time if you went to that. Now, earlier on in the show, we caught up with Tassie from Juno's Women's Aid and Liam from the Island Quarter as well about an event that's happening this weekend to mark International Women's Day. The event celebrates all things women and raises vital funds for the women's charity. It's happening on Saturday, and the event is March the 8th, which is a great opportunity for all of us to celebrate womanhood and some of the inspiring women in our lives. So today we headed out to Nottingham and asked you what it means to be a woman and what International Women's Day means as well.
I love the women in my life. They're friends like no others. Like, they just make you feel so whole and at peace. And even if I don't like a certain woman, like, they're still my sister. Like, yeah, it's all about unity and we just need to come together.
Like, an acknowledgement and a day to recognise that women do a lot and are capable of a lot is important, I think.
I'm quite glad to be a woman. I think there's less barriers generally as a woman. I think career-wise, I think that I feel like there's any barriers anymore really so much. Yeah, I think it's a good day to celebrate women.
Yeah, I was born in the 40s, so I find a lot more freedom now. Now I'm in my 70s.
It's empowering to be a woman now than it probably was years ago. So yeah, positively.
Yeah, I feel like women just have a kind of innate understanding as to, how to come together and support each other and make the best of things. So that's amazing.
Right, time to welcome another brilliant guest now on the show. And if the winter blues have got you down, then maybe some rhythm and blues might pick you up. The Pat Fulgoni Blues Experience stops off at Peggy's Skylight later this month. The band made its debut album just last year and now spreading their soulful, funky take on the blues to Peggy's Skylight. And you're in for a treat as well, because Billboard magazine declared that band's lead singer that he could sing a pearl from an oyster. That is a compliment and a half, isn't it? And here to tell us more is the man the band is named after, Pat Fulgoni himself. Pat, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I want to ask, and I imagine everyone you talk to has asked, have you tried singing a pearl from an oyster? But I'm not going to ask that because I'm waiting for the video of the evidence to come out.
Yeah.
So congratulations on the first album, though. But let's talk about you and go back, because blues is kind of, and certainly in this form, is relatively a new thing, isn't it, in terms of the band?
Yeah, the band's been going for about 5 years, but previously to that, I did a blues album in the Czech Republic about 20 years ago. And, having a bit of a midlife crisis, I decided that I should catch up and form a UK version, which is where I'm at now.
So, I mean, what's your journey like? Because you've played everywhere, like you say, like Czech Republic, but it's just you've played all around the world, really. You personally.
Yeah, with various bands. I've kind of jumped across genres. I sing a lot on drum and bass and house music and stuff like that. I was in a band called Carver Carver for many years, and we clocked up a lot of dates in the States and China and Europe. But yeah, blues is where it's at, really. It's what I've started out listening to at college, and I'm back.
Is that whole thing coming home? Musically, you're coming home.
Yeah, it's a good thing to sing. It's I find sometimes you can lose the ability to sing properly unless you're doing live music regularly. I mean, as much as I like doing session work and stuff like that, it's good to let it out in front of an audience.
So what's a blues audience like? Like you say, you've played many genres, you've played all across the world. What's a blues audience like to play in front of? Is there a different connection?
Yeah, it's different. Depends on which venue and which town. I mean, one of the best gigs that we've done regularly has been the Domino Club in Leeds. That's a very, very young audience, which is good because sometimes you play blues clubs and it's slightly older. So, it depends on where it is. We're the kind of funky end of blues, so we try to get people dancing as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I've seen watching your YouTube videos and stuff, and feels like an interactive gig as well. You're not just sitting there and watching from afar. It feels like you'd be a part of the gig when you go along.
Yeah, we're not sat there being miserable,
How did the album come about then? Because obviously, if you're going out, you're playing live and you love playing the live venues, like you say. At what point do you go, we should make an album out of this?
Well, I kind of, the first blues gig for the Pat Fulgoni Blues Experience was actually a benefit gig for a soup kitchen in Huddersfield. The organisers had seen some footage of me in the Czech Republic and said, "Oh, we'd love you to sing some blues at this." And I said, "Well, you're probably not going to make a lot of money out of that if it's a benefit, because we'd have to fly them in from the Czech Republic." And they kind of reassured me and said, "Oh, you can get a blues band together around here, can't you?" And this is in my hometown of Huddersfield, right? So I said yes. And I forgot about it, to be honest. And I saw it on a poster a couple of months later.
Amazing.
I thought, right, okay, so I better form a blues band. In fact, I think they changed the name.
Brilliant.
So it kind of stuck with me. And now I've settled on quite a young lineup. I've got some great musicians, some of which have been through the Leeds Conservatoire. It was time. It felt right to do a recording.
I love that. Like, I'll walk past the calendar in the kitchen sometimes and go, "Oh, I need to do that." But walking past a poster with your name on, that's the ultimate reminder.
It sounds a bit slack, but that was exactly how it was,
And how did the album come together then, in terms of selecting tracks and in terms of working with such a new bunch of musicians for you then?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously we've got a set of covers, and also I've written a few originals as well. It's all done on a shoestring. I've not had any funding, so to speak, for the recording. Although I did a GoFundMe, which was very well received, and that helped finance some of the manufacturing. So I did a day in a studio, and then we had a kind of like 4 or 5 month break, thinking, okay, what do we do? And then we had a couple more days in a different studio mixing with a friend of mine called Alex Eden, who deserves a lot of credit. He's got a fantastic studio in Bradford.
Nice one. And now it's all coming to fruition. You're on tour, and we can see you at Peggy's Skylight on 21st of March. You're coming.
Yeah, that's right. I'm really excited about that venue. I worked with Rachel many years ago. She's the lady in charge of the venue. She was in an absolutely fantastic band called the Shod Collective, and has a truly incredible voice. So it's great to get booked for this venue for a number of reasons.
Brilliant. Well, we shall see you there. We're looking forward to it as well. Thanks,
Thank
Pat.
you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's going to be great. Looking forward to that. Right, here on Notts TV, this coming Friday, we are going to show the latest episode of the Notts TV debate. Francis Finn is coming back with a panel of local leaders, including Marcellus Baz. You saw him earlier, the founder of Switch Up. Jordan Guerrero has been to report on how they're doing at the moment. Some of the topics on the debate include the future of local broadcasting. I wonder why that is. And whether Nottingham needs a tourist tax and what European football would mean for Nottingham as well. You can see it this Friday. It's on at 8:30, or you can see it at nottstv.com or on Notts TV Official on YouTube.
Tourist tax. If you come to Nottingham and you want to stay a night, come next year, January, you may be paying a £2 surcharge. They do it in other nations, don't they, and in other cities. The idea is if people come into Nottingham, some of that money, the £2, would go to improving the city centre for visitors. Some say, though, it could put folks off. Would it put you off spending a night? £2 we're talking about.
I don't think it would, Fran, and I think we've got to be creative as a city. We know that it's difficult circumstances right about now. We know that our council is bankrupt, so we've got to be creative in how we do things. And I think if we've seen it work in European countries, in other places, then why shouldn't we adopt that? It seems like a natural thing to do, and I think it's going to help us as a city.
Mike, you are keen on tourism. You founded, as well as the Sherwood Business Centre, the Robin Hood Society with a couple of friends.
Society, yes,
yeah,
with a few, very committed people.
Yeah.
Just that was around making the use of the Robin Hood brand internationally, which is an absolute godsend and so underutilised from a business perspective and tourism.
So let's imagine you are in charge of all of the £2 that come into the city. How would you spend it?
Exactly. Well, there's the point. Is it £2? Is it £20? Is it tax? Is it council tax? Is it bid funding?
Yes, it would go to the Nottingham bid.
Yes. So it's how that money is applied. What faith have you got that the streets will be clean, that the community will take on board?
Now let's have another look at your picture of the day, shall you, to celebrate Nottingham Castle at Light Night. Thank you to Whitefoot Photography for that one on Friday night. Your weather, it's been a lovely day. It's going to drop to only 4 degrees. That feels quite warm given recent times. That'll be into tomorrow when we'll see lots of sunshine, highs of 12, just like today, and dropping to 12 into Wednesday, which is going to be pretty much the same. I think it's sunny all week, really. Highs of 13 on Wednesday. There's some rain on Friday, but don't worry about that. It's going to be a warm weekend. I know it's only Monday. Right, thanks for being here today. I'll see you tomorrow. More Notts Today at 5:30. Bye-bye.